work that flesh. And he will get what he wants out of it. Because you resurrected it. You cannot let man or woman move you to that point. You cannot do it. It's going to hurt you. You don't want words that are not life coming out of you. And if they touch that flesh in you and you let it get resurrected, you'll be doing the same thing to them they're doing to you. And the devil will get very happy. He'll have a good day. If they can touch your flesh enough to get a response out of you that you just don't care, you're going full steam ahead to get even with them. You want revenge. Because they lied to people about you. They crushed things. They defamed your character, defamation of your character, or even character assassination. That's almost the lowest you can go when your flesh gets over control. God calls it character assassination. He doesn't want your flesh to rise up. That's why he said walk in the Spirit, right? And the loosing of the soul thing was one of the greatest things he gave to the body of Christ. Because you're not going to keep anything in you that can be incubated and used by the enemy. Get it out. Don't let it stay there. You don't want people's fleshly words to penetrate your soul. And so the whole losing of the crown thing, God said someone can come up with in the flesh. Even as a believer, they're in the flesh, they start blasting, crushing, or they do something that so shocked and horrified you, they stepped out of what they were supposed to be doing for Christ into something that sounds like hell. That can wound you. Wounds are just as bad as sin. A wound is hard. Sins you repent of, get over them and done. But if you let a wound get into you because of what people said to you or treated you or they did, especially people that are close to you or that know you well and know none of that was true that they said, that wound will fester and grow. It'll remain open. And the enemy can begin to blast you, crush you even lower to the point where your crown slides off. Because what they're doing is they're pulling you from the Spirit into the flesh. These people who are filled with the flesh. And they just blast and crush you. And you give into it. You're not necessarily going to bash them back. That's a different part. That's a different part of what happens when you do. But you can either be wounded or you can get furious and anger and want revenge. Both of them are dangerous to you keeping your crown. And this is man doing this to you. Don't let somebody in the flesh take your crown. They can't wear that crown. But they can cause you to step back into the flesh and be wounded. Or they can make you step forward and want revenge. And what they're doing is they're pulling you from that place in the Spirit. They're pulling you out, pulling the flesh out. When it does, your crown slides off. This is what the Father explained to me. Because I had it happen to me. It took me a few months to get over it. And God began to tell me, I'm going to expose what's in the souls of some people, and you're not going to like it. But I want you to experience it so you know how to tell people not to do this. And it was hard. It was hard. It was somebody I loved, somebody I cared about very much. It wasn't a family member. But you have people who are like that. And I literally probably loosed from my soul 50 times a day to not be stuck in that place with wounds. And I began to understand, because I had never had one before. But wow, this is really a powerful thing the weapon can use, the enemy can use against you. Don't get wounded. Don't let a wound stay in you. And then that enemy will keep you from doing things that you need to do or be as powerful as you're supposed to be being. It's usually something not expected in any way. But the minute it happens, you need to you're not going to be as focused, as dangerous, Okay? Because you got to make sure you get that crown back up. And you're just as powerful and fierce against the enemy, even more fierce than you were before. So you don't want wounds in you. You don't want a wound to happen to you. And so that he explained to me how this whole thing happens about the flesh can pull you out of the spirit, not your salvation. Not talking about your salvation. But those are places. Walking in the spirit is a place. It's a place. When you begin to pursue the more of God, you pursue ruling and reigning, you're pursuing revelation, and you're applying it to your life on a regular basis, you are walking, you begin to not be affected by the flesh at all. But first of all, you're not affected by the enemy. It's like no word he says, nothing he tries to do is going to affect you, pierce you, or move you in any way. But if we let man affect us that way, and how important is it to walk in the Spirit? John was not on the Isle of Patmos when he heard those words that said, come up, and he saw that door open in heaven in the book of Revelation. He was in the Spirit. He was in of your flesh. It's not entertained in you. It's not considered by you. It's not received by you. And certainly nothing in the enemy is. So John was in a place in the Spirit, and that's why God could do that. That's why he could say something to him and he heard it. Showed him something and he saw it. Walking as a man on the earth. And he was caught up. Share some of the greatest revelations we have until this day, even. And they were put in a book called Revelation. And people tell me there's no place in the Bible that talks about Revelation. I try not to laugh. There's nothing in the Bible that can talk about Revelation. I'm like, well, yeah, number one, Jesus said, man has not revealed this to you, but it was revealed by the Spirit of God. That was revelation. Peter received revelation. When he said, you are Christ, the Son of the living God. That was from Revelation. Amen? Even Peter sometimes got the Spirit. But John walked in it. He left the Isle of Patmos when he felt like it, appeared before the religious hierarchy. I'm sure that was a pleasure. Because they couldn't kill him. They tried. In many ways, they couldn't kill him. That's why they put him out there where nobody could hear him. He was a threat. He didn't stay there. John was shown many precious, powerful things by the Lord. Like he took John back and showed John when he lived as the Word. He showed John himself having flesh put on him. He couldn't have written that. He couldn't have written those words. The Word was with God. How did he know that? And was God. How do you know that? And there was nothing that was made that was not made by him, the Word. How did he know that? I know God. When he has friends, he shows you things. He doesn't just tell you things. So he took John, the beloved, whom Christ loved. I love his titles he gave himself. He was so close to him, he could walk as close as he possibly could to walk by him, to even just touch him. He changed from the son of thunder that would fight in the streets over pretty girls to that person who walked in the Spirit. It's one of the most important things you can do in your life. It's greater than having encounters. It's greater than being caught up to heaven. It's greater than all of that. Because God can use you all the time, everywhere. And not know that you're going to get stuck in the flesh. The flesh is not your friend. And I know when you live with people, it is not easy. If they themselves, even as, I know some people who aren't Christians that act nicer than Christians who get in the flesh. I really do. So it is not a good thing because you're actually participating with what the enemy wants. You may even hate that these people may hate the enemy, hate what he represents, but they use them all the time. to wound people, to crush people. But don't let words crush you. The only words you need to know is what He has said about you. And I would remind myself all the time. And then God was talking to me the whole time I was going through this, saying, you need to let it go. You cannot hang on to this. I know I told you this was going to happen. I know you were totally not prepared for this to happen to you, but it did happen to you, and you need to let it go. And step back in the place I put you. I still had to travel, I had to stare. But on the inside, it hurt. The enemy made sure he reminded me of that image all the time until I stopped him. So it's very important. God says, guard your heart. That's your soul. The heart doesn't mean just your human beating heart. The heart of something is the center of something. You know, the heart of a building, the heart of an electrical system is the center of something. The heart of the city, people hear that all the time. It's where all the action happens. It's where things happen and go on all the time. So the heart in the Bible means your soul. You are a living soul. And you're not raising children. You are shaping souls. That's why kids come out wrong sometimes. And you know, they get into trouble. And then they get into juvenile. And then they commit crimes. It's what happened in their soul when they were young. That's why God says this is the most important position He can give you as a parent. And all of the men will hear this message in the men's meeting next month. They're going to hear about shaping the souls of their children, being tender to the souls of their wives, how to hold their own self accountable. They're going to hear about not operating in the flesh, not operating in fear, make sure they have no fear in them, so they don't crush the person who's the closest to them. They're going to hear all of it. They won't be the same when they leave. If anybody's husband comes, be ready to be nice to them when they come back. Because I hear this all the time. A woman gets filled up, and they go back, and the enemy has their spouse come against them. He's going to test you. The enemy's going to test you. Did you really get that? Did you really believe that? That wasn't real. Nothing is changing. If he ever says to you nothing's changing, nothing's happening, it already has. And it's been reported to hell. We need to blacklist this person. Because no demon's going to listen to them. No demon will want anything to do with them. But your spouse doesn't know that. And they'll be acting like they normally did. You know, if we get them upset or push them too far or just whatever, for whatever, the enemy has wanted husband and wives to fight from the beginning. The greatest warfare we make in our homes is the love we have for each other. And so God would tell me to tell them all the time, stop making war in your marriage and start making war fair. I have a CD called Passionate Power that will change your entire marriage. I said, make sure your husband hears it too. My husband and I did one married couples meeting, and that's where that CD is out there. CD we have is called Passionate Power. Passion has power. That's why the enemy twists it and uses it as lust. Love has great power. Lust has great power. One is from heaven, one is from hell. And you know what? The enemy doesn't care who you sleep with as long as it's not with your spouse. He does not want you to do that because you are crushing his plans. You're making some of the greatest warfare. All of hell is terrified when a husband and wife come together in love. They don't want it. That's why he targets marriages. There's a reason why hell does things too, not just heaven. But we were sent here to be an example of heaven on the earth. And if you live in the flesh, or you don't even recognize that matters, it matters. Or you would not have said, walk in the Spirit, you won't fulfill the desires of the flesh. People in the flesh hurt and wound and maim people. And yet we were sent here to bring life and hope for a future to people. So you can be used by either side if you allow yourself to. So when God says stop participating with hell, this is some of the stuff he's talking about. Don't strike back. The enemy wants that to happen between friends, between family members, between business partners. It doesn't matter. Where anyone's trying to come together to do something good, the enemy will try to bust it up. It's his number one plan. Divide and conquer. But we're more than conquerors ourselves. That enemy who's trying to move you, persuade you, and crush you is under your feet. Unless you turn the doormat around and welcome him. And your flesh welcomes that. Because the enemy's always going to side with the flesh. You have a perfect right to say this. They deserve this. They brought this on themselves. I'm tired of them. I mean, this is the enemy feeding the flesh of the person who's doing something. He's feeding them. And they think it's their self. When I take authority over all the traffic, wherever I go every day, and I command the host to go in there and go into every car to say to those people, stay focused, pay attention. No fighting, no fear, no anguish, and then there'll be no delays, hold-ups, breakdowns, or accidents. Our host, our army, will do that for you. The devil can speak to people all day long, so can the Spirit of God, so do the angels. They open doors for you, they make connections for you. Don't sign a contract without letting the host expose anything that's wrong in there. You can ask the Spirit of God, the host of heaven, your guardian angels. They are here to help our lives. They don't just want to stand by and do nothing. Because our lives represent heaven. And when people look at us, that's why the world don't like us. That's why they don't like God. That's why they don't want Jesus. They don't see the right stuff coming out of our mouths. You can't validate somebody's sin, and don't ever validate somebody's sin. But you can love that person and pray for them. But you can't just give love. The greatest thing about love is truth. The love doesn't set them free. It's wonderful to love, but it doesn't set them free. The truth will make someone free. So you have to learn to do that in love. You're not here to beat someone and force them to repent to Christ. We're here to share and plant seeds in them. And then someone will come along. I know you've probably heard this. If you've been in church for a while, you've probably heard this very message. You plant seeds in people about Christ, and someone else comes along and does something else that actually hears Christ and loves Christ. They'll water those seeds, and eventually that person, you'll have fruit come forth. The Holy Spirit draws men to Christ. We're not supposed to drag men to Christ. Or blast them when they don't come as soon as we want them to. He has a simple plan, but sometimes we get in the way. But don't let any man take your plan. So you have a choice. I'm either going to take the bait the enemy's given and letting their words crush me and hurt me and wound me, or I'm loosing every bit of it from my soul and I'm not going to entertain any of those thoughts again, and I will love them like they never did it. And I'm going to run my race with my crown on. Amen? So most people who come against you with their words, they feel like they're going to straighten you out or tell you what truth is, when they don't really understand even what they're trying to, what is being presented to them or what's given in the earth. The earth can't stay the same. We are on a timeline. And every day that goes by, we're getting closer to what the end will be. And even the end, at the end, is not that we won't exist, it's the end of time itself. There will be a day that after that day there'll be no more time. No more, we'll be in eternity. We'll be immortal. There will be no need for time. He needs time and space in this physical planet in order to operate in certain ways. But there will be a day when there'll be no limit to space in your home, You can have 10 things in the same place if you want to, in different layers of that space. But your soul stores a lot of things. It stores videos, actions, experiences you had, things that were said to you, things you saw with your eyes, heard with your ears, or things that, like traumas or things that you encounter in your life. Every bit of it is stored in your soul. I had written down on a little piece of, and I've known this for a while, so I used a different part of my soul. I had lost this little piece of paper that a pastor had given me saying, I want you to come, and they gave it to the wrong person. Don't give me anything. Okay, because my mind's going every place all the time with God or doing stuff. I don't, if you give me something you want me to read or see, there's no telling where that's going to end up. Because I don't do that anymore. I receive revelation, I write it down, I record the revelation, I see things, I draw them or sketch them, they go in the books, they're going in the movie scripts, they're going all kinds of places. I go all the time, get a lot all the time, and so my time is spent taking that in and making sure it gets put down and put in the right place. That's what I take care of. Things in the natural, I don't remember where my notebooks are, half the time not my cell phone, my keys, the angels have to bring it to me. They lay it right in the middle of my desk. I don't waste time looking for things now and say, okay guys, just get it. Put it in the middle of my desk where I can see it. And that happens a lot. It happened the other day. I'll be places and lay something down and lose it. And they still bring it back to me. I'm on a commission. I have to do what God has told me to do. I can't do what even normal people do that someone might normally consider normal. I just can't. My soul can't contain it because I've got so much of God stored in all of those layers. That's what I think about. That's what He's been giving me to do. And that's what He does with people. When you really give yourself to Him, He'll start. People will just be removed. I used to have probably thousands of friends. I probably have a handful of friends. I don't have time to spend with them. I still love them, but I just can't. My life is ordered. And so I can't always, I would love to have time to meet with every little person and hear every one of your stories and have things to say to every person in here, but I am used corporately, which is needed. Because whatever I say from here is not just for me, it's not for one person in this room, it's for every single person in the room, every single person listening now or later. It is a corporate message. It's corporate revelation for the body of Christ mostly, but even for people in the world. God gives me things to share with the people in general in the world, no matter where they are. So when you are like that, you cannot just individualize things. I most of the time forget unless the Holy Spirit reminds me. I forget about birthdays, my anniversary, they remind me of. Doesn't mean I'm going to get to celebrate it, but I'm still reminded of it. And so I have a commission. I have to walk in that place He gave me. And I love everyone. I've always been a lover of people. My dad was. But now I let people actually hug me. There was a day when I would not have wanted you to hug me or even say anything to me. And in high school, I think I talked to 5 people. I didn't have friends. I had a tribe at home who talked enough to me. But He changed my heart. So I would love everybody. Even people in the world, I love them. And I'm that person that walks down the sidewalk thinking, no one around me knows what is above them. They don't know the angels. I can see all the angels. I see their own angels following them. I'm thinking they're so clueless. They don't know. They don't know the whole truth. They think they're just who they are. They get married and have a family if they want to, and then they die, and then they're no more. That's what a lot of people think. But that's not truth. God cares about everybody. He cannot use everybody. And so, but he loves all of us. And so these people, I'm going to say a couple more things about that. Was something that was brought up several times to me, about stop the weather warriors. Why are you doing this? You're trying to be like Christ. Who do you think you are? I'm just like Christ. I'm a joint heir. I'm ruling and reigning with Christ. That's what I'm doing. This is what you were supposed to be doing. And leaders that don't understand, you need to go back to the Word and look and ask God to give you revelation on it. Because these are not the last day. There's things that He said we would do and would happen before the end would come. And it hasn't happened. So roll up your rapture rod. You get your crown on and rule and reign, and let your congregation see you ruling in the spirit realm. And let them know that is their right also as a member of the body of Christ. And so that was one of the things that really, because we really started doing that on a continual basis, they don't like it. And I want to ask them, if I could ask them, so are you taking authority over it? Are you waiting to see what's going to happen, what the enemy's going to do? Are you not going to stop the enemy? This is our time to torment the demons. We do that by taking away what they think are their rights, and we rule, not them. That torments them. They want those places that they have built for themselves. And for generations have done whatever they felt like. That's stopping. The other thing I'm just going to answer to, not quite take as long, but one day, by the way, I will just let you know, we will have, don't know when, but we'll have our own radio station, we'll have our own television network. And we will absolutely be involved with news and media. And so will a lot of you. Sometime within this next 50 years, where He's repositioning me from number one, giving revelation and training the body, that is now number two. Number one is now being a CEO of One Quest International to create heaven on earth and put it in the marketplace. And I'm doing it. We're doing it. My team, we are going to do that. You'll be able to buy things to wear, to have his home decor, to watch, to play with, even drive. Because we're going to be able to start messing with the interior of cars. I mean, everything He's shown me, all of these things. And they will happen because I'm saying yes. And we'll hire people that want to do that too. We want people to work with us that love God's revelation. That want heaven on earth. That live heaven culture. We need those people because then we can work together well, without conflict or doubt or something. We really are working towards that. We want them involved in what we're doing. And when you get a team like that, it's going to be powerful. That could be your home. It could be people in your home. It could be friends of yours. It could be people you don't even know, never met before, but God brought to you. And have lots of love and grace when that begins to happen, because you're going through a whole change in your life. When you bring other people into what you're doing, you're going to have changes. You're going to have to be patient and have kindness and trust God that He knows what He's doing. Amen? But it's going to be a lot more pleasurable to go to work if that atmosphere is there. And if you've ever been around even a creative team, even in the natural, they have people that flow like that, like people at Nickelodeon and other places like that. Their team is surrounded with joy, with celebration. They love to be with each other. The ideas flow. They work together well. That should be happening in the body of Christ. And so we're going into that. And then after the whole marketplace thing, the business platform, then there is the revelation platform. And then after that is arts and entertainment. We will totally be involved in arts and entertainment to bring things from heaven, ideas from heaven, into every area of arts and entertainment. The movies, the video games, places to go to enjoy yourself. That would be the interior design, the architectural design, even the technology we use in these places. That's going to be number 3. Number 4 is shifting governments and shaping nations. And number 5 is going to be news and media. We're going to make you aware of foods that aren't safe, companies that are using genetic engineering. You need to read every label. If it says genetic engineering, don't buy it. They strip away all the nutrition from the food, and big companies are buying up other companies because other companies say we don't want to have to even adapt to that, or try to, so they sell it to another company. And I'm just going to tell you, Nabisco now gets everything made in Mexico. I love the people of Mexico, but they don't have the same guidelines we do. The food is changing, the taste is changing, the labels are changing on the packaging. China has already been an issue for a long time with not putting asbestos in their things or other stuff that's not safe. And they're being asked, you better toe this line because we're not letting stuff in here. Everything we can possibly make will be made in America. And we will choose high standards in whatever we produce. And we have people now that all the world is looking for manufacturers and processing plants and purchasing all kinds of stuff. But we don't wait for that to happen. We prepare for it years ahead of time. And so even the clothes you wear, sometimes the designers send their stuff to other countries and they're falling apart. The seams aren't staying. And they think how awesome we're selling our clothes, but your clothes are crummy and they're all on the clearance racks. So one of our jobs in news and media will be to let them know that. We are being thrown out there. Okay, we're not going to step back. Whatever we do is going to be bold. It's going to be truth about what God wants done. And it's going to help them because if they realize we better stop doing that because nothing's working. You can't be cheap and expect things to get better for you. You can't use cheaper things so you make more money. More products are sold, but when they begin to fall apart or do other things you don't want them to do, you're going to stop buying them. So all of this has everything to do with heaven coming to earth. God wants us to have good things. He wants us to operate in accountability. He wants us to make a good profit on what we produce. He wants that in your lives. And so I'm gonna address the other thing is the other thing we bombard a lot about, which I could care less because now I know them personally, and that is the army of heaven. They do not like us giving commands to an army. I'm talking about hierarchy out there. Some of the leaders in the body of Christ, they do not like us doing that. You are worshiping angels. Well, maybe those generals should be told they're worshiping the troops in our military here because I know they go give orders. Are they worshiping those soldiers and the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, the Navy? Are all those people in charge worshiping those people? Well, that's not what we're doing either. We are not under angels.